For centuries, there's been this incredible puzzle tucked away inside Islamic prophetic tradition. It's all about the final, ultimate end of Iblis, or Satan. It's the story of how evil finally gets defeated. But believe me, the answer is not as straightforward as you might think.
So that's the big question, right? When it all comes down to it, when the final battle is raging and darkness makes its last stand against the light, who is the one destined to land that final, decisive blow? It's a real prophetic mystery, and we're going to unpack it.
Because here's the thing. When you dive into the sacred texts, you don't just find one clear, simple answer. You find two. Two totally distinct, incredibly powerful stories about how this final showdown actually happens.
And that's the heart of our puzzle. We've got two different prophecies pointing to two different heroes, but there's only one final battle. So how on earth does that work? But let's start by looking at the first account.
Okay, so this first set of narrations, it describes something truly epic, almost otherworldly. It talks about the return of the Prophet Muhammad himself, coming back to finish the fight once and for all.
And the imagery here, wow, it's just stunning. The prophet descends, literally cloaked in the clouds, and he's not holding some ordinary weapon. He has a spear made of pure light. This isn't just described as a battle. It feels more like a cosmic judgment.
The whole sequence sounds so direct and clean. The prophet returns, he wields the spear of light, and he strikes down Iblis. A decisive, final victory by the prophet himself. Case closed, right? Well, not quite.
Because then you have the second account, and it paints a completely different picture. This prophecy is much more grounded, describing a massive war right here on Earth, led by a messianic figure that we know as the Mahdi.
This quote really sets the stage for the insane scale of this conflict. Iblis has literally assembled everything he's got, every force of darkness, every single demon from hell, for one last desperate stand against the Mahdi and his army.
But here's the twist. In the heat of battle, Iblis looks up and sees that the Mahdi's forces are being reinforced by angels. He knows, in that moment, it's over. He's going to lose. So what does he do? He runs, he flees, and he hides, but the Mahdi hunts him down and is the one to deliver justice. A totally different story, isn't it? This is a chase, a hunt, not a sudden celestial strike.
And this brings us right to the core of the problem. We have these two powerful, authentic prophecies. One says the victor is the Prophet Muhammad. The other says it's the Mahdi. So how can they both be true?
I mean, it seems like a classic contradiction. On the one hand, you have a victory delivered from the heavens by the prophet, and on the other, you have this hard-won victory on the ground by the Mahdi. It looks like a direct conflict in the texts.
So what gives? How do we possibly resolve this? Which hero is the true victor in the very end? Who actually lands that final blow?
Well, the key that unlocks this entire puzzle is this really beautiful theological concept called prophetic representation. What it basically means is that a task prophesied for the Prophet Muhammad doesn't always have to be carried out by him personally, directly. It can be accomplished by a chosen representative who is acting in his name and with his authority.
And suddenly, everything just clicks into place. The Mahdi isn't some rival hero in a different story. He's the prophet's chosen representative here on earth. So when the Mahdi acts, he is literally fulfilling the prophet's mission. The action and the victory belongs to both of them. It's one act, but two heroes.
In other words, there is no contradiction. These aren't two different stories at all. They're two different perspectives of the exact same event. The Mahdi striking that final blow is the fulfillment of the prophecy that the Prophet Muhammad would strike that blow.
So you can think of it like this. We take these two accounts that seem totally separate, but when you look at them through this lens of prophetic representation, they just merge perfectly into one single cohesive story. It's one narrative, just told from both a heavenly and an earthly point of view.
And that kind of leaves you with this final thought, doesn't it? Once we understand that a single victory can be shared, that a great act can be performed through a representative, it really changes how we think about things like legacy and heroism. It asks us to think, maybe the greatest victory isn't just about the one person who lands the final blow, but about the mission they represent.